With remakes being all the rage for current consoles, it does make you wonder what classic games could be next on the remake list. I know I have a list of horror games that I would like to see get a remake. Horror games that chill gamers to the core, but may have lost its touch with time. So I compiled a short list of 5 horror games that could benefit from a remake. These are my 5 horror games that need a remake and why they would benefit from it. Number 5. Resident Evil Outbreak. Honestly, I'd rather have Capcom remake Outbreak over Resident Evil 4 because 4 is a perfect game that should never be changed or tainted. And Outbreak is one of the better Resident Evil multiplayer games. It plays like a normal Resident Evil game, but adds 2 companions that can be an NPC or player controlled. Each area was unique, big enough for multiple players, and had little stories that can tie to a specific character. If you play as that specific character, you get extra story bits and secrets. Despite there being 3 of you, the game still maintains the horror elements that made previous entries great, requiring you to work together on item management, puzzle solving, and facing threats. A remake would finally give Capcom that Resident Evil multiplayer game they've been yearning for years. I see it as a win-win scenario. Capcom gets a Resident Evil multiplayer game, while fans get a remake they've been asking for. If you are a Resident Evil fan, then I strongly recommend that you do yourself a favor and check this game out. Sadly, the servers are offline, but hey, if they remake it, then there will be new servers to play on. Also, Capcom, please don't botch this up like you did with Resident Evil 3 Remake. Number 4. Alone in the Dark. Oh, this wonderful, poorly aged classic that started the survival horror genre has you take control of Edward Carnby, a private investigator that is looking into why the mansion's owner committed suicide. However, supernatural events begin to occur and threaten our dear protagonist. He must traverse the darkness alone in order to solve the mystery and to get out alive. This is an old game that seriously needs an overhaul. Graphically, the game looks extremely silly, it's too bright and colorful, the enemy designs are ridiculous, just everything needs to be upgraded. Seriously, how did anyone find this scary? I would like to play through this game, but everything I mention is persuading me not to. Sounds like I took the piss on this game, but if they were to give it a similar treatment like Resident Evil 2 Remake, then Alone in the Dark could finally be the horror game that engineered the genre. Number 3. Clock Tower. In this game, you play as Jennifer Simpson, an orphan that is going to a new lovely mansion that is no way a trap with sadistic psychopaths waiting for her. Surprise, surprise, it is. Now she's trapped in a world of horror, as if being adopted isn't scary enough. She must explore the mansion top to bottom for any means of escape, while the other orphans are picked off one by one. I believe Clock Tower is the first horror game that was a 2D point-and-click adventure game on the Super Nintendo. Looking at it now, the game surprisingly holds up. Atmosphere still looks good, the slow pacing nicely builds up the tension, and Scissorman can be kinda scary despite how silly he looks. Sadly, not much people can get their hands on this title because it's mostly exclusive to Japan. I will say, if the Clock Tower remake wants to grab in a bigger audience, then there's going to be some changes. I know earlier I praised the slow pacing to build up the tension, but it's way overdone at times. To get anywhere it could take like 30 minutes, and interacting with something you might as well just dedicate your entire lifetime to it. Not to mention, at times, the puzzles could just be ludicrous. Having fun, complex puzzles is fun and all, but if they're vague and there's no clues on what to do next, then that's a good way to push away your audience. Other than that, the game could essentially just stay the same. I don't mind that it's a point-and-click adventure game, just maybe update the graphics, have voice acting, a better written story, and just a better pacing and not so crazy, ludicrous puzzles. Number 2. Fatal Frame. The only horror game on this list that has you save your brother captured by evil spirits with an old camera. Not with a proton pack or any fancy sci-fi gizmos, just an old camera. Turns out, it's a special one that allows you to exorcise evil spirits by transferring their evil energy into a photo. a unique setup that is pulled off spectacularly, allowing players to save photos of spirits and find hidden secrets that the human eye cannot see, giving players a great reason to explore Fatal Frame's thick atmosphere and to revisit the game to see if they missed any secrets. Fatal Frame's atmosphere and gameplay would definitely benefit from a remake that enhances all the best aspects of the game. They could add more ghosts, secrets, and fix that darn running speed. Look at her! She's jogging in fear. It takes down the fear factor and makes the place feel bigger than it really is. A proper remake could fix these issues easily while adding more content. Number 1. Silent Hill. If there is any horror game out there that deserves a remake, it is Silent Hill. A survival horror game that is argued to be one of the scariest games ever created. From its amazing and engrossing atmosphere, haunting ambiance, memorable soundtrack, and horrifying enemies, the atmosphere in Silent Hill still holds up amazingly well. But could you imagine how much more terrifying it would be with modern graphics? Silent Hill would be the embodiment of nightmares with a remake. The only thing that would have to be drastically fixed is the lifeless voice acting. Like seriously, his daughter has gone missing in a haunted town filled with monsters and a dangerous cult that want to use her to resurrect some devil god thing? Yet, he sounds like he's going to pick up groceries while on downer medication.
Hold it. Where do you think you're going?
My daughter. I've got to find her.
A Silent Hill remake with modern graphics and better voice acting is a masterpiece waiting to be made. Hopefully, those rumors about a Silent Hill soft reboot is what fans have been clamoring for years. At 5th place, we have Resident Evil Outbreak, Capcom's best Resident Evil multiplayer game that doesn't sacrifice the horror elements in the franchise. In 4th is Alone in the Dark, the game that started it all, but aged like bread, so a remake is needed to bring back the horror. 3rd is Clock Tower on the SNES, a classic survival horror game that did the run and hide and seek formula first. 2nd place belongs to Fatal Frame, a horror game that has you use an old camera to defeat evil spirits for your photo album. In 1st place is Silent Hill, an excellent horror game that holds up spectacularly well and deserves every ounce of respect from its abusive publisher, Konami. Do you guys agree with the list? Be sure to express your opinions down in the comment section below. And this is Chris Anderson, signing off.